Welcome to another exciting edition of P&B Sports Show. I'm Abel Sunday, bringing you the biggest stories from the world of football. Today, we are diving into what could be a major shift in European football. Is Pep Guardiola's Manchester City era finally showing signs of decline after yet another unexpected loss? Meanwhile, over in Spain, Xavi Alonso is making headlines with a resurgent Real Madrid side that looks hungry, disciplined, and dangerous. Could we be witnessing the rise of a new dominant force in La Liga? Joining me virtually to break it all down is none other than seasoned sport analyst from Lagos, Wisdom Chimoba. Just grab your teacup because P&B Sport start now. Welcome back. You see P&B Sport right here in Abuja, and I'm joined virtually by they call him the principal thing, but I call him the principalities of sport. Wisdom Chimoba. Wisdom, good morning, and how is Lagos this morning?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Evel. Lagos is doing very well. It's a great pleasure to be here again to talk sport, and I'm here for us to talk about everything that went down, in the world of football. I still don't know why you like to call me the principality of sport, though.
Because you are the principality of sport now. You hold all the powers. Okay, Wisdom, let's dive into the conversation.
That were true, Man United would probably be winning every week.
But they won on Saturday.
I know, but if I truly had the power, I would ensure they win every week.
But Saturday's game was kind of very dicey. If not you intervene, don't you think that game could have just gone to the other side, or probably the share point 1-2-2?
Indeed, I had to intervene.
That is why you are the principalities of sports. So of course now, of course you've vindicated me, right? Isn't it? I'm vindicated now.
All right.
Okay, let's dive into the conversation. On Sunday we saw again Manchester City falling down again. Last Friday we had something. I think we had our show titled the troubles in Manchester, and I think this trouble is never going to go away anytime soon. Do you think Pep should take a sabbatical, or don't you think he should go on a vacation? Perhaps he should just go for 1 year. What's your view about this, Wisdom?
Well, I think for Pep, it's not a question of tactics, to be honest. Pep is someone that you talk about tactics, he has it in him 24/7. I don't really think that's the case. I think right now what is wrong with Manchester City is almost the same as to what is wrong with Manchester United. Opening game of the season, everyone saw it. 1-0, Manchester City destroying Wolverhampton Wanderers, and it was a very good one, right? We all thought, okay, it looks like Manchester City are going to give everyone a run for their money. But then they came up against a Tottenham Hotspur side coached by Thomas Frank, and it became difficult for Man City to do something meaningful in terms of the overall play. In every game, Manchester City would always have the highest share of possession. But then you talk about chances created, you talk about the shots. All of those things were really lacking in Manchester City's game. And now yesterday again, we saw the same thing at Brighton. City came into that game, Erling Haaland opened the scoring in the 34th minute, and then as the game went on, it was Brighton that eventually grew into that game. You look at the shots for Brighton yesterday. Brighton had 7 shots on target. 7 good shots on target. Manchester City, yeah, they had several shots, but then a large part of it was off target. So it shows you something, that it's not just about the tactics of Pep Guardiola. It's about these players really coming up to the table and putting up their quality. No one can tell me Manchester City doesn't have quality, right? You look at that bench, is filled with quality players. And the reason I'm saying that it's not about Pep, it's about the players. Is you look at Man United. Oh, by the way, not to sound sentimental, right? But I think you look at what we saw this weekend. We saw a lot of big teams lose, and no one, the media is not really making a fuss about it. But if it were to be Manchester United, the fuss would be crazy. Everybody wants to use Man United as a clickbait. If you want to trend, you use Man United as your headline, and everyone will come read your story, but not Manchester City. Now, the same thing that is wrong with Manchester City so far, that we've seen at their last two games where they lost, is the same thing killing Man United. Why am I saying this? There's this lack of urgency and desire from the players. And it is something that is killing Manchester City. And another thing I also have to say, this is where I'm going to blame Pep. I understand the season is still early and is trying to find a balance to the squad, but then you look at the rotation is made over the first three games of the season. Is made some crazy rotations. In fact, putting Matheus Cunha at right back and bringing in Kushano when you've got Ruben Diaz on the bench, there's Nathan Ake on the bench, there's Manuel Akonji on the bench. You opted to go for Matheus Cunha at right back. It doesn't make any sort of sense to me. And then there's Oscar Bob starting at the right wing there when Bernardo Silva could have been pushed up there, and then you let Matheus Cunha play in the middle or bring in even a Nico Gonzalez. So I think it's a lot, but then the season is still early. That is one thing that we have to understand, that eventually, after the international break, of course, every manager would sit back and try to react. Besides, the transfer window will be closing today. So, if I would expect, all the managers to go back to their drawing boards and, take a good look at what the season looks like for them, and then we're definitely going to see changes. For Manchester City, I think where the conversation is going to really start from is literally next month. Why do I say so? You look at Manchester City's next set of matches, they are crazy. On the 14th, as after the international break, they are facing Manchester United. Now, after that, they would also be facing Napoli in the Champions League, and then when they come back, they will be facing Arsenal again in the Premier League. So, if Manchester City is able to scale through these three games, and if they are able to put up a convincing performance, either they win it or not, then we can say, yeah, Manchester City is really going to be a force to reckon with this season. But then, if they are unable to get anything out of these three games, then it might just be the same story we saw last season repeating itself again for City.
Okay, the principal thing, you said it all, but one will argue that Pep has never gotten this wrong, or this I will not say this wrong. Should I say this hard? Because if I say this wrong, probably he's doing something that he shouldn't. Or of course, he's doing something that he should not be doing. I think that is the reason why he's getting this kind of bad results. But Pep has not gotten bad results like since he started coaching. If you remember from Barcelona, he migrated to coach. He went to Germany to coach Bayern Munich. From Bayern Munich, he now came down to England to coach Manchester City. These teams he has done so well, and he has not gotten it this bad. And again, I ask, perhaps, don't you think Pep Guardiola need to just go to the passenger seat and sit down and observe, maybe take a break like a year or two, then come back?
I don't think it's a case of Pep Guardiola getting bad. I would say it's a case of other teams becoming good enough to compete with him.
Okay.
I don't know if you understand. So I don't think it's a case of Pep losing his magical touch. Let's just say other people have been able to pick up their own magical wands and magical touch where they left it, and it looks like people are starting to catch up with him. And it's football. In football you can never be at the top forever. You can be at the top. You might be there for years. I mean, loads and loads of years, but then you can't never really be at the top forever. And it's clear. I think it's starting to show. But then, I don't think it's the case of Pep really needing to take a break. It's just a thing of teams starting to catch up with Pep. Because first of all, you look at the Premier League this season. What the Premier League has given us is absolutely absurd. You look at the quality being displayed in the Premier League. I think this season we are definitely going to see everybody callable to this season. That one is for certain. That one is for certain. Because you look at Spurs, this same Spurs that started the season on a very very wonderful note, and we felt like, oh, Spurs are the team to beat. But then they came up against Bournemouth, and Spurs couldn't register more than 2 shots for 90 minutes. It shows. Some would say, oh, I thought this was the Thomas Frank team that was supposed to blow everybody away. But then they came up against Bournemouth and they couldn't do more than 2 shots on target. Not 2 shots in the entirety of the game, not even on target. So it shows that it's a thing where today you might come up and put up a good performance and everyone is waxing lyrical that your team is the best, and then you come up against another team and then you get blown away. You might even be the better team, like we saw Man United do against Arsenal on the first game of the season, but eventually it was Arsenal who got the job done. We saw it yesterday, Arsenal-Liverpool. Arsenal, of course, were the better team, but then it just required one free kick to give Liverpool all 3 points. So for Manchester City and for Pep, I think it's a case where eventually teams are just starting to catch up, and then everybody's just trying to figure out how to grind the win, how to get the result. But eventually, like I said, the season is just early. And after the international break, City have got 3 crucial games ahead of them. If they are able to scale through this game, and something is telling me that they would eventually scale through, maybe not straight wins, but definitely they are definitely not going to lose, the 3 of them. But after that, we're definitely going to see one or two things tweak in Manchester City, and hopefully for Pep, some of his injured players would be back, and they get to fix things up. Brian Chekin missed out on their last game. I guess he's probably injured or something. But then the City has got quality. City has got quality, and everything is going to come to the fore. So for Pep, it's not a case of him choosing to take the back seat. He just needs. He just needs to figure out something new. That's all, because everyone is starting to catch up with him.
Okay, the principal thing, let's stay with Pep. If this result still going negative way against him, or probably he finished this season again without winning any trophy, do you think is going to be shown by the Manchester City's board? You know, to show the exit door. Do you see Pep getting sacked, or do you see his contract not getting renewed if things stays this way, and perhaps he did not win any silverware this season?
Well, I think first of all is currently on a 1 year contract. I
Yeah.
think
This is the last
final
thing.
year.
Yeah.
So got big fun, yeah, and so first of all, I think for Pep it's a case of whether they finish the season well or they finish it badly. I think he's gonna leave eventually. I think he has made up his mind in that aspect personally. So either they finish the season with loads of trophies, or they finish the season without a trophy. I think Pep wants to leave. He has spent a lot of years in England, and I think he wants to try something new. But one thing I have to say is this: you can't sack a Pep Guardiola.
Why did you say so? If Mourinho can be sacked, who is Pep?
Mourinho, we both know that Mourinho is no longer in his glory days. We both know that Jose Mourinho has lost his magic. I wouldn't even really say.
Even when he was, I think he was sacked by Chelsea. Then he was also in his glory days. Then when he was sacked by Chelsea.
Mourinho is a different manager compared to Pep. Why do I say so? We all know what to expect from Mourinho. Once Mourinho takes charge of your team, you just know you're expecting defensive football. You're expecting sit back and soak in the pressure, hit on the counter, score a goal and win. But with Pep, you don't know what to expect from Pep. That is what makes him Pep Guardiola. You know that once he begins to think, once he begins to scratch his head, you know that he's scratching out some incredible ideas that is going to be used. That's the difference between and Jose Mourinho. So and besides, even when Jose Mourinho we're talking about, I mean, when we thought Jose Mourinho was down, he went to Roma, won their first trophy. It's just that Turkey is not. Turkey is a different breed entirely. That's right. But for Pep, but one thing is for certain. I think they would not finish the season trophyless. Even if it's the Carling Cup or the Carabao Cup, I think they will definitely win a trophy. They would win a trophy. But regardless, I think Pep wants to leave Manchester City at the end of his contract, so I don't think he's gonna get sacked, either the finish trophyless or not. But like I said, you can't sack a Pep Guardiola. If you are sacking a Pep Guardiola, what makes you think his predecessor is gonna do what Pep hasn't done? Come on, Pep is I don't know. It's just like saying you're trying to sack an Alex Ferguson or an Arsene Wenger. Come on.
Okay, you said it all. We'll be going on a short break now. So when we return, we'll be diverting our attention over to La Liga, and the principal team will, of course, will stay with us. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's CPMB Sports Show right here in Abuja, and I'm virtually joined by Precious Wisdom Chimoba. Sorry, I wanted to call you Precious. Of course, you are precious to us. That's why I'm using that one. so Wisdom, the principal team. Let's go. Let's cross over to La Liga. And since Xavi Alonso took over Real Madrid from Ancelotti, I think he's trying to steady the ship right now, and they've played 3, they've won 3. What are your assessments so far with Xavi and his pattern of play?
Well, first of all, I would say the new season, what we should expect is a bit of fluidity from Real Madrid. I think Xavi has changed his formation like about 3 to 4 times this season. We saw him coming with a back 3. Playing a 3-4-3, and then eventually he has switched into a 4-3-3. He has played with a 4-2-3-1. So I think one thing we should expect from Xavi is fluidity and flexibility in Real Madrid's game, and it's interesting to see how he's been able to rotate his squad. In fact, I think one of the reasons Real Madrid brought in Xavi is to give youngsters opportunity. Because that is something that Madrid is not known for. We don't know Madrid to develop talent. We only know them to sign the biggest of the biggest stars. But I think this season they want to take a different route, and that is what Xavi has been doing so far. You look at the starting lineup of Real Madrid this season so far. It's mostly consists of young stars. You look at Alvaro Carreras, the former Man United. In Houston, and then there's also Ada Gula, there's Franco Mastuanoto. So all of these are just young stars, and I think so far so good. Real Madrid, we are going to see exciting play from them, but then I think in as much as they've had a very good start to the season, they've not really put the ball into the back of the net the number of times, or quite the number of times you would expect. Unbeaten start to the season, no doubt. That is a very good one for Real Madrid. But then I think one thing Real Madrid fans would want to see is more goals. You look at their first game of the season, they struggled to eventually win that game over Osasuna 1-0. And then they came up against Real Oviedo. It was a good one, 3-0. And then yesterday again against Mallorca, or on Saturday rather, against Mallorca, 2-1 they won that game. But then one thing that was really, I don't want to use the word disturbing, but was profound in that game was the number of offside calls that Real Madrid had. In fact, about 4 offside calls or 3. After putting the ball into the back of the net, it was cancelled because of offside or goal. So I think for Real Madrid, eventually they would come good this season. To look at the attacking football that Real Madrid is playing, but they would come good. That is for certain. They would come good, but I don't think the league is Real Madrid's focus. To be honest, I think where they've got their eyes on has got to be the Champions League. this season. But for Xavi, one thing is for certain, like I've said, you're going to see attacking football, and all of these forward players would come good. Even though one person that has been on the lips of everyone is what's his name now, Rodrigo. Yeah, Rodrigo. The fact that he has not really seen much game time. So a lot of questions has been asked about how Xavi wants to deploy Rodrigo. Not just Rodrigo, even Endrick. I don't think Endrick has played a game this season. But then one thing is for certain, like I said, and I'm going to keep saying that this season we are going to see attacking football from Real Madrid under Xavi, and expect a lot of flexibility and and creativity.
Okay, the principal thing. Let's talk about Vinicius Junior. You know when the closing stage, or should I say, the exit stage of Ancelotti, we're look the body language like Vinicius Junior is going to leave Manchester. Sorry, Real Madrid, and seeing him now playing under Xavi Alonso, I think like on the last game they played, I think he was very happy and under playing under this present coach. What can you say about Vinicius Junior and seeing him fitting into the plan of Xavi, because him linking up with also um, Kylian Mbappe, I think they have a formidable force in that regard. So what do you have to say about it?
Well, I think for Vinicius is someone that there's always a lot of noise around him, and I think that is one thing that if well, I don't know if there's anything he can do about it, but there's always going to be noise around Vinicius Junior. And yeah, like you rightly said, towards the end of last season, we all thought, okay, Vinicius Junior might be on his way out and all of that. But then I just knew that it was never going to happen because Madrid would not let Vini go. Whatever his problem was, they would find a solution to it. And of course, they've done that. And you look at him under Xabi Alonso, he's been able to find a new lease of life. In fact, he was on the score sheet yesterday
Yeah.
again as well. There's a bit of there's this joy he has. Maybe the issue he had last season was probably with Ancelotti and not with Madrid. But then I think one thing is for certain: when a new manager comes and he gives you the reassurance that you are important to his game plan, no matter who that player is, I believe that the player is going to be happy, and that is what is happening with Vinicius Junior right now. But then like I said, Vinicius is someone that there's always noise around him. He's got a lot of noise around him. But when you're going to see, or when we're going to know what is, when we're going to know Vinicius Junior's real and proper state of mind is when we are, midway into the season. By that time, Madrid would have had some ups and downs. Vinicius Junior would have probably been on the bench for some games. Xavi would have done a lot of rotation here and there. That is when you're going to know his true state. If this happiness is just, for the main time because the season is just fresh and it's getting game time and things are going well, or if truly it's a happiness that stems from a place of he loves Real Madrid and he wants to stay.
Okay, the principal thing as we wrap up, let's look at, can we look at compare the squad that Barcelona has now and the current squad of Real Madrid. Do you think Real Madrid have a chance to wrestle the La Liga out of Barcelona right now? Because we have, of course, what they call Rashford have joined Barcelona now. So do you think with the rank they have, what they have in their squad, and what Real Madrid has, do you think is something that Real Madrid can also hold their own on a very good day?
Well, if we were to go by that last season, I mean, Barcelona destroyed Real Madrid as much as 4 times last season. But then, talking about Barcelona, I think for Barca, we all know the quality Barca has. In my own opinion, I think Barca has got a better quality of players compared to Real Madrid. In terms of the all-round squad, it's an attack, Real Madrid. But which team has got the overall better squad? Barcelona. So why do I say this? You look at Barcelona, from their attack to their midfield, their defense, even to their goalkeeping department, they've got squad depth, they've got quality, and not just squad depth, but they've got quality. But for Real Madrid, you look at that midfield, their midfield is lacking, their defense is also lacking. But then up front, they've got quality, they've got loads and loads of quality, of attackers to be able to rap with defenders. I think that is just one of the hiccups that Real Madrid have, that their defensive line. But for overall quality, Barca has got a better team. But yesterday, Barca, in as much as they have the better team, they were unable to get all 3 points over Real Vallecano. It ended 1-1 in that game, with Barca dropping their first points of the season. But then, yeah, I think that's also one thing we need to look out for again this season in the La Liga. That in as much as it has always been a three horse race in the La Liga, this season we might just be seeing something different in the La Liga this season with teams like Villarreal, Athletic Club. In fact, Real Betis and Sevilla, these teams are going to be in the conversation. Atletico Madrid, I don't know what is happening to them at the start of the season. They picked up 2 points from just 3 games. But then, this season is going to be a good one. Of course, title favorites, always Barcelona and Real Madrid. Those are the title favorites. But then, by December, that is when we can now know who is the new contender of the title.
Alright, on that note, I want to thank you very much indeed, the principal team, for making it to this show today and making it very interesting for us today. Thank you so much for your great analysis as always on this show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. I hope to be back next time.
Of course you will. Definitely. You'll come back stronger. I trust you. Thank you so much. That's the start of our show this morning. I'm Abel Sunday, and from me and the entire team right here in Abuja, I say goodbye. How many minutes? Thank God. Thank you so much. Make I do my sport.